Right, Meg, Wrenn, happy Halloween. Thank you for coming in.
I'm delighted to be here. I am very excited now.
So where are you travelling from today?
Lucan in Dublin, yeah.
Is that where you live, in Lucan?
Yeah.
Sorry to hear.
I heard you are from Bonoak, so I wouldn't be saying that yourself now.
Can't say much.
Yes, absolutely.
So, seeing as it's Halloween, it's your first time on the podcast, episode number 4. Moving well. Wanted to start off with a little quickfire, just to get us heated up, and then we're going to go into Adam will ask you Jake Kavanagh's big question.
Why am I actually nervous? I don't know what
you
he's
should
going to
be.
ask.
Wait till this question comes.
Right?
Don't listen.
All right. These questions are kind of based off assumptions I've made about your personality from watching your podcasts and other things you've been on over the years.
Brilliant.
They're nice questions.
This is like Jeremy Cullen.
Yeah, I know. Interrogation seat.
Watch your biggest shoulder trump now. Yes. Right. First question: mountains or ocean?
Mountains.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Okay. Yoga or meditation?
Meditation.
Okay. Nice. That's it. See, they were all right, weren't they?
Yes.
Wasn't too bad.
That's actually mad. It made me think for a second. Mountains definitely over the ocean.
Yeah.
Really?
I
Yeah.
have them tattooed on me, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. You committed.
I haven't seen the tattoo, so I didn't know that.
But I'm not going to start stripping off your stripes and tattoos, so
That's
it's not that type of podcast.
Yeah.
No, mountains definitely. You know when people say like I go to the mountains to find my soul and stuff like that? That definitely happened to me during COVID, so...
Okay. Nice. I'm sure we'll chat a bit about that later on. I'll start off by asking the question that the wonderful Mr. J. Kavanagh left for you. And it is a nice question, to be fair to him. We didn't stitch it up with this one. How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail?
Oh my God, about 6 things came to my head there. So do you want me to answer this in like what would I do?
Yeah.
How big would I dream? Like I picture myself doing talks all over the world. I'd love to have different studios set up, like meditation studios, wellness centres. I will. It's not a want. I will have my own wellness centre and retreat centre in Ireland. That's how big I want to dream.
Nice. In Ireland, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anything like that exist already?
Yeah. There's actually a good few of them. So I'm actually doing my first overnight retreat in Powerscourt. So Powerscourt Springs is like a wellness place in Wicklow, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So, but after being there, I was like, we actually need more of this, because you can just book a hotel, you can go to an Airbnb anytime. But in the wellness centre, as soon as you walk in, you're just zen straight away. But I just think it's a nice space that people should have more access to all the time. And after being there, I says, yeah, I'm definitely going to have my own one. I talk to my mum about it all the time. She wants to do the same, and I'd love to do it with my mum or my sister. Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
I'll invite you along.
Yeah, we better be guess number 1 and 2. Yeah. So tell me, Meg, I know you were big into, actually first, the world that you would say that you're in, you might call it personal development or like meditation. What label would you put on it? How would you describe it?
What label would I put on it?
Yeah.
Like people just call it like the wellness industry.
Yeah.
I don't like to call it an industry because I just think it's a lifestyle. I definitely moved away from a very different life a few years ago to where I am now. But yeah, it's just my life. You could call it an industry in a sense of like doing classes and workshops and stuff like that. But it is my lifestyle. Like I mindfully do everything. Like when I'm getting up in the morning, my affirmations, meditation, a bit of yoga, whatever I'm doing, I'm mindful about it. So yeah, I guess I'd call it my wellness practice, like my daily practice.
Okay, yeah.
It's not that deep. It's just how I live. Yeah. So I think before, when I was only moving into it and I was doing meditation, I'd like scream it from the rooftops and tell everybody, you know, I'm into all the wellness stuff, and that's what people say. But it's just what I do every day now. So it's definitely my lifestyle.
Nice, yeah. So it's more of a lifestyle than like just jump in and out of this.
Because I think you can jump in and out of it. Like for example, when I was moving away from the party scene, which I loved a few years ago. And I can't actually do that anymore. It's just not in me. I don't have the energy for it. But when I moved away from that, I really wanted to go to whether it was retreats or workshops or a meditation class. And then on the weekend I'd go out, and I feel like you bounce back and forth until you come and find the balance.
Yeah.
But when I moved away from that into this lifestyle now, the thoughts of going out and partying and going to a nightclub and listening to music in my ear actually drives me mad. You know, but but there's no judgment to anybody that does that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, when it's festival season, that's very different.
Oh, yeah.
To go for a dance. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you've evolved out of that, and now you're at this new stage.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll chat a lot about what you're at now and everything you're doing. I know you've got a couple of things coming up as well that we want you to promote too. Yeah. But I want to go back to pre all this Meg and chat a little bit. Tell me a little bit about her. What would that Meg have been like if she was sitting on the couch today talking.
You know what's funny? I was only talking to my friend about this the other day. I'd say people that knew me years ago definitely probably judge me today, saying, who does she think she is doing all that stuff? Like, I done coke with her in a bathroom at 6 o'clock in the morning. But that's who I used to be. And I don't shy away from that at all. Yeah, I definitely say when I was like 19, 20, I started going out. I'm sure you've been to Diva yourself. El Diva. And I used to go there every weekend, get the buzz bundle, stay in someone's gaff till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, even the next day. And then this just became a lifestyle for about 2 or 3 years because I was making friends, having the crack. And it was just like living my life from Monday to Friday to go out on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then I remember just looking at myself one day, I was like, I actually just can't do this anymore, because I realised when the weekend was over, I didn't have friends to go for breakfast with or lunch with. And then you're just kind of fending for yourself Monday to Thursday. And then your mates, when you're not going out anymore, you're actually not seeing them. They're party friends. And then I was just depressed. My skin was really bad. I wasn't going to the gym, all of that stuff. If you seen me, I was the epiphany of someone that just went out partying and doing drugs all the time.
Yeah.
But the thing that made me stop was I was sitting in my sitting room one day after being out the night before. My ma says to me, have you been doing drugs? And you know when your mom says something, and I was kind of like, I can't believe she just asked me that. I said no, and then initially I said yes. But it was just all of this disappointment just came in, and I was so embarrassed for myself. I was mortified because I thought I was getting away with something and I wasn't. So it made me just step out, look at myself from an outside perspective, and wanted to do better. So I remember my first mindfulness night I ever went to, and I just thought, like, they know who I am, I don't belong here and stuff. But then I found there is no judgment within that. When you're wanting to better yourself, everybody is so encouraging. So I remember just sitting there, and I remember the people that I met that night, and I still actually talk to them to this day, and there was a lot of connection and open conversation. And obviously I was quite insecure, so I didn't want to talk. But then I noticed, you know, when a problem is shared, as a problem halved, I just became more open and started talking more. And I says, you know what, this is definitely something that's going to serve my life more positively. So yeah, I had to leave the old her behind. I like to revisit some videos and photos to make myself laugh, but no regrets, honestly. It was supposed to be the way it was.
It's a good evolution, isn't it?
Yeah, massive.
I wanted to ask you because, all right, most people who are between the ages of like 18 to 20 odd from Luke and Bono, whatever, most of them do drugs. A lot of them wouldn't sit on a podcast and admit it, but I'm pretty sure anyone can relate to it or know somebody who would relate well to that kind of person that you're after describing. They can probably see themselves in it. Me and Ab, unfortunately, never really got caught up in that scene, and it was never really something that appealed to us for different reasons. But something that we've always kind of wondered and sort of assumed is that anyone who does get caught up into that cycle, like the drugs, the drink, the nights out, the whatever it is, fake friendships, relationships, it's to like fill a hole inside them. Like they're either running away from something or they're just trying to, they're trying to mask over some pain that's there. When you look back at that time now, was all that like acting up to try and hide something that you weren't confronting at that time, or do you think you were just young and experimenting with different things?
It was definitely a mix of both. I was definitely trying to fill a void of so many things. And I'm trying, it's so funny now because I'm rewriting my story and trying not to revisit the past. But of course, having conversations like this, I have to do that. I went through the worst heartbreak ever when I was like 21. And that was definitely something that invited me into that scene. But when I was with him and his friends, that's what they done was drugs. But I do believe it is to fill a void. It's definitely from like the type of parents that you have, or maybe the upbringing that you had. Now, I'm very blessed that I had beautiful parents and a great upbringing, but it was just, I was a bit mad as a teenager anyways. I'm just high energy, and that's my personality. But yeah, it was definitely to fix the heartbreak, and I just wanted to be part of something. I think in the last year or two, wellness or mindfulness has been more encouraged. There wasn't really much of that when I was 21, 22.
No, especially in those areas.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think people just want to be part of something. It's so easy to go partying and doing drugs. It's so accessible. But what's not easy is getting honest with yourself and being like, why am I actually doing this? Nobody wants to answer them questions. But I truly believe if you want to change, just get honest with yourself, and you have to spend a lot of time on your own.
That's hard for a lot of people.
Yes, it is. Because how easy is it to just, I don't know, even get up or go to Leafy Valley, get up, go partying, or just going out with your mates in general. A lot of people find it weird to go for food on their own. Or like when I tell people I go hiking on my own, they're like, that's so dangerous. Like getting on a bus is dangerous, in my opinion.
Walking down the stairs is dangerous.
Yeah, it is. Coming here and sitting with you is dangerous, you know?
Well, with him, I'm all right.
But sorry, to answer your question, is yes, I do believe people fill a void, but sometimes it's subconscious. They don't even know what it is because they won't allow themselves to enter that mindset of being honest with themselves.
At what age were you when you hit that tipping point of saying enough's enough with this?
I'd say the first incentive that I had to do that was like 22, 23.
Okay.
But even up to like, it's now 2023, I moved to Spain for a few months in 2021 and I definitely jumped back into the party scene. But then I was getting up and running and I was meditating. So I was like full on in a fine balance of going out partying until 6 a.m. but then wanting to run and, I don't know, work out on the beach.
Yeah.
But I think, definitely, I'd say lockdown, I hate even saying that word, changed everything for so many people. Yeah. Spain was a big eye-opener for me because there was so much wellness, then there was so much partying. But when I came home from that, I'd say about 2-3 years ago, I got very serious into this, and I can't be doing the partying anymore now.
Yeah. I think I just want to jump in because I know Adam definitely wants to ask you about Spain because he studied Spanish in secondary school. He fancies himself with a bit of Espanol.
Do you? I don't, so don't ask me anything in Spanish.
This guys, we went to Puerto Rico in June, and he knows like fuck all Spanish, but like he knows more than anyone who's never studied Spanish would know.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime anyone said anything to us in Spanish, I'd be like, just waiting on Adam to tell me what they said.
I hate that. It's like, I'm not here, yes.
And then I speak French because I studied French in college. So there was one French couple we met, and then that was my moment to shine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
It was deadly.
I love when someone says something, you're like, yeah. Do you know what I know? No one even asked you.
You just insert yourself in there.
But based on what you said there, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the heartbreak. Now, obviously, you don't need to go into any detail you're not comfortable with. But, and again, I only know what experience is like as a man going through that sort of stuff. And as a man who's had his heart broken. But it's not something that's specific to any gender. Like, I think everyone at least one point in their life will go through heartbreak.
Yeah.
And it might manifest itself in different ways and you'll react to it in different ways. But like reflecting back at that time in your life, like what did it feel like to be heartbroken? Like what came up for you?
It was just so lonely because nobody understands. Like, I truly believe everyone goes through heartbreak, whether it's with your friends, so romantically or platonically. And it hurts just as bad with both. But it was my first romantic heartbreak and I actually thought the fucking world was ending. Yeah. I remember I cried when we broke up. My mom says, I thought someone died the way you were crying. Like, so dramatic. I wouldn't do that now. But it was quite lonely because when you're in a relationship with somebody, people can only imagine what it feels like. They only know from what you're saying. Yeah. So they're not feeling it themselves. But yeah, it was definitely quite lonely because you're going through heartbreak, but then you're also like looking at what they're doing on social media or trying not to, like blocking them, unblocking them when I was younger. And people don't admit to stuff like that. So yeah, lonely is definitely what I'd say. Eye-opening. And without the heartbreak, I wouldn't be who I am today. 100% I can say that. But it just taught me to be alone. I had to learn to be okay alone because if I jumped from that relationship into another one, which I can happily say I didn't, I would have just went and wanting to find all the love in somebody else, which I actually took the time to do myself. But it's easy to sit here and tell someone how amazing that is, but you have to go and look at your shadow self, all the shit you don't like about you and why you accepted less than from somebody else.
Definitely. I think love is one of those weird things. It's like you see the best and the worst of humanity when it comes to love. Like it can make you do like great, amazing things and it can make you be like a horrible person. Did going through all that, like, were you at a point where it's like, I never want to fall in love again, or like?
If you even heard me, like even up to like, now I can thankfully say I'm in such a beautiful relationship the last 2 years. But even before that, I was like to my ma, you are never getting grandkids off me. You are never going to meet somebody. But I was so set on that. I really, really was. And after like a heartbreak, that's all you know. Yeah,
it's resentment towards
you. Don't believe that there is somebody else that is going to be nice to you. But when you give the love to yourself, you have to remind yourself there is people that live out of love and not ignorance in this world. So trusting that will come to you. I never seeked love. I never looked for it. Now, I was on Tinder for about 6 months of my life.
You don't go there for love.
No, you don't. And I thought I did. And I was in a relationship because of that. And hence why it didn't last very long, because it was an app.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't really do dating apps now.
Can I ask a deep question, or do you have?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because I was having a conversation with somebody last week. We talked about it on Jonathan's podcast. Basically, me and Adam love old men telling us things because it's like he's been through the war. He knows.
Love that.
He can guide us in the right direction.
Yeah.
And he was talking to us about, well, it was just me. About love. Adam wasn't there. Whenever I talk about it, it's always us.
Yeah. I love that though.
But and he was talking about love, and like he was asking me what is love and like these kind of big questions that nobody really knows. And he's like, I think I have an answer for you. I was like, I'd love to hear it, please. And he said, love is the ability and the willingness to facilitate the growth of another person. Which was like kind of the opposite of a lot of the kind of love you see out
the
there
cliche
nowadays.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of love, the way it kind of comes across these days is like almost holding each other back. It's like, I see you in this box, and when you're in this box, I love you. And as soon as you start trying to spring out of that box, I don't like that person, I don't know that person, I don't want to see that person.
Yeah.
And it's like just trying to cling on to, it's almost like a scarcity kind of mindset. It's like you have to stay as this person. Anything that's not that, I don't love anymore. So that was my long way of asking you, how would you define love?
This is mad that you said this. I only shared a quote yesterday, so I never know how to pronounce his name, but do you know there's a book called Clarity and Connection? I actually have them 2 words tattooed on me because I really feel that's so deep. It's a really beautiful book. So it's not like a storyline, it's different snippets of poetry and spoken word throughout. And I don't really share my relationship online. I just think
You have to keep your options open.
Yeah.
I'm only this.
I just have to let people know every few months that.
Just remind them.
Oh my God, I'm just thinking how Mark's going to react. That's funny. But I don't always share us online because it is like, I love intimacy in a relationship.
Yeah.
But I shared this yesterday. So this would be my answer, even though it's not my words.
Okay.
Find a partner you do not have to perform for. When you are both committed to honesty and have active compassion for each other, there is no need to behave in ways that aren't genuine. True love is welcoming each other's changing emotions with open arms. Though you are both dedicated to becoming best versions of yourselves, you also understand that not every day will be a good day and not every step will be a step forward. Being in a relationship with a high degree of authenticity and gentleness allows both partners to let down their guards and feel at home. So I think each version that presents themselves of your partner, taking your time to get to know them, is definitely an answer to love. Because love is not just cuddles and dates. I don't even like a date in a restaurant. I love like a hike up a mountain or a deep conversation all the time. But like, even for example, my partner moved from construction into, he's now doing personal training. And like, that's a big transition. Yeah. And as you know, like masculine energy as men, yous aren't very open all the time as women would be. And I'm not saying everybody's like that. But I had to take the time to facilitate his change and give him the space that he needed too. But I need that.
Yeah.
And to not take things personal when someone is growing. But yeah, that's a beautiful way that you said about love that guy says to you, because you just have to encourage each other's growth. And you don't merge together as one person. You encourage each other on their own journey, but come together as a collective to celebrate love, I think is a really nice thing. So
Nice.
100%. What do you think? Adam's been in a relationship for
8 years.
8 years now.
7, 8 years, yeah.
it's
been a while.
That's a PhD in love.
Yeah, true. Actually, never thought of it like that. I'm a doctor of love, is it?
Yeah, I'd say so, but I'm sure you've been through a lot in the 8 years. Like,
yeah, especially growing, like, we're 24 now, so like 16 to 24 is quite a weird time, to be growing up. But what Lee said, what you said, I've been having these conversations with myself for years now, trying to understand love, because it was always something I found really strange as a concept, because like we say, like, Meg, I love you, right? You could say it to a person, you could say, I love Man United, I love this player, I love me Cara. It's like we use that one word to describe a relationship with so many different things, you know, that way. So it's always a word that kind of got me interested. And I think the one thing that's true with every version of love that you might use is it's a responsibility in all those dimensions. It's not just, I get lots of good stuff from loving this person or loving this thing, because you get some good stuff. Like Shauna's my girlfriend, and lots of good stuff about Shauna. I love her, but like there's lots of but Shauna turn off now. But on the flip side, there's a lot of stuff that you have to deal with or sacrifice as a consequence of giving that love, you know. And even if I use the Man United example, like I get lots of good stuff from loving Man United, but I get a lot of shit as well. Not anymore, actually.
Jeez.
A few years ago I did, but it's been beer. So yeah, it's like so many people, I think, view love as just a one-way transaction. It's like, oh, what do I get from being in this relationship, without looking at the other lens and saying, like, what am I willing to sacrifice, or, you know, how am I willing to go on my way to, again, facilitate that other person's growth and to get to know myself so I can be the best version of that for that person too. You know, it's like, it's a two-way street. It's not as simple as it's made out in the fairy tales or
no,
on the
it's
books.
definitely not. And you only know that from your own experience. Like, a people, you know, when you're going through your own stuff in life and then you might feel disconnected from your partner.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're taught enough about that, because when you're feeling disconnected and that can trickle into different parts of your relationship, or you're like, oh, I don't really want to see them today. It's not because, this is what some people don't get, and then they get angry at the partner. It's not because I don't want to see my partner today. It's just because I'm lacking quality time with myself and I need it in order to feed our relationship. If you were to see each other every day and constantly give and give, you're not actually filling up your own cup, and then you end up resenting each other.
Yep.
I've seen that in many relationships in my life, especially an older generation, because they don't have conversations like we have today.
No, it's a great point. Great point. It's like so many relationships is like we need to be with each other 24/7, or if we're not with each other, we're texting each other or Snapchatting or Instagram. It's like, you need space. You need to be your own people individually first.
Yeah.
And then when you come together, that's what creates a strong relationship, as opposed to just two of you almost forcing each other to be joined at the hip, and that's pulling you away from all the other things you might want to do in life.
Yeah. And I think it's nice to constantly like treat each other like you first met, you know, doing the little things for each other, because it's so often you can get comfortable in a relationship where you stop going to the gym and then you're just eating shite all the time, and then you're feeling crap together, and then you're looking for love from external sources, which affects your relationship. That's something that I never want to happen. Hence why I always do my own thing. He does his own thing. And then when we come together, it's like, wait, I tell you what I done during the week. That's so nice.
Mm-hmm. Was your first relation, or I don't know if it was your first relationship, but the one you were in previously, sounds like right now your relationship is very independent. It's like you are your own people and you're like together, then it's obviously a beautiful relationship. Previous to that, was it similar, or were you like very much, I suppose, dependent nearly on each other?
Yeah, no, I was definitely codependent.
Yeah.
I've had previous relationships, but like, I'll just talk about the first one that I was in, was definitely very codependent on each other.
Yes,
but it was toxic as well. Like, I wasn't even allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Where are you going, or who are you with, or texting me, or send us a picture. Jesus, get off me back, you know? Yeah. It's actually not good mentally. And I think, especially when you're younger, going back to the party scene, all that stuff, it doesn't feed you positively, or it's not good for your mental health. So when you're doing that together and then you're having time apart, it's just not going to happen. Yeah.
Oh, I get you. I see so many young people, especially nowadays, in those sort of relationships where it is so dependent on one another. And it's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure long term for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, if that relationship ends, it's like, no wonder you feel broken and lost, because everything that you've done the last few months or few years has just been based around this one person that's not you. So it's not even fulfilling the best version of yourself, right? It's like somebody else. And it was interesting you said that when that relationship ended, it had such a big impact on you, because I know, looking back on it now, you're like, actually, that was a bit toxic. Like, there was nothing really good about it on reflection, but at the time when you were going through it and then it ended, it's like, fuck, you know, why is this over? Why is it lost? It's interesting, isn't it?
That's what people say, like, you can be blinded by love. I definitely believe in that, because, you know, like, a few months after it, again, whether it's romantically or platonically, and you look back, you're like, why did I accept that? And you'd tell your mates not to do that, but it's actually just on yourself. Something I thought of there as well, I feel like when I was younger, I'd be more attracted to somebody because of their looks. And then when it came to get to know each other, I didn't know how to have a deep conversation. And I think that's something that people veer away from now. And when you love somebody and then, like, you're having a conversation like, oh, I done this before, I'm like, oh my God, you have a past. You know?
Yeah.
You have a past, you seen someone else before, like, and then you get jealous and all these things come in. So I always remind myself is to understand someone's past, to know how to love them and not how to judge them, because that's not going to serve your life or your relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
Big time.
I think just based off what you were saying there, and again, I don't think it's going to be anything revolutionary to anyone who's ever had a younger relationship, because like, I think my first relationship, I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
I was like, even back then there was still that same, like, we need to talk every minute of every day, see each other as much as possible. Not so much like controlling back then, because you're too young to know any better. But like, just like that sense of at any given moment they could just abandon you and your whole world would fall apart, and you're just like trying to not make that happen.
And you're still trying to hold on.
Yeah. And then it's funny how like when it initially happens, you feel like you'd give anything in the world to have it back. And then after a few months or years, you're like, you couldn't pay me enough money to go back to that place now.
Time heals, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you learn how to be on your own. And I don't want anyone thinking now, because I'm in a really nice relationship, that we don't argue. We do. But we have better communication skills. We don't slam doors and leave rooms because shit is after hitting the fan. We sit and we talk about it. And if time is needed away, then we take the time and then come back together as a collective. But it's never an option to be like, we're breaking up just because we had an argument. Whereas before... block you on WhatsApp. I'm going to block you on this. Like, they can't get me. And then an hour later, you're like, fuck's sake, I actually have to unblock them now. You know, that's mad.
Well, let me jump.
Yeah. Hey, I think you have my charger actually. But that is, I think it was a bit childish and toxic years ago. But again, we all need time to explore that, to know what we will accept and what we won't.
Definitely. And how do you...
Can I just ask one question on the relationship?
Don't be fighting, guys.
Because I'm just curious, did you end it or did he end it? You're not allowed to ask that.
No, you can't.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
This poor woman sweating now.
I ended it, but I had no choice.
Okay. I won't dig any deeper than that, but I was curious.
It's a very unique story, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, we'll get a separate podcast. Set up for that.
We'll tag him as well. I'm only messing. We won't do that.
More so from the angle of like, whatever happened, they obviously ended there. But like, if that didn't happen, and then you stay in that relationship forever, like so many people are in those situations where it's like that's the quote, the certainty of misery is better than the misery of uncertainty. Yeah, it's like until something, or the Beta Region paradox. It's like, you know, if something doesn't happen that's big enough, let's say, it's like, right, I need to end this, we'll just stay accepting this shit and then stay with that, and then that just becomes the norm, and then that's what you're used to, and then you live 20, 30, 40 years of accepting that bollocks, and then you're 60, 70 looking back on it being like, fuck.
I've seen that so much.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, we're constantly overstimulated. Our phones, like conversations, traffic, whatever's going on, there's so much happening. So in a relationship then, when you're with somebody and you're at peace, sometimes you can confuse that with boredom. So then you just start arguments. I don't do that, but I know I've seen it, and I know I've done that in my past where what's the quote?
Some people prefer the certainty of misery to the misery of uncertainty, because
that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
And then uncertainty, people are sitting there, they just start to create stuff because they don't know how to just be.
Definitely. What I wanted to ask you before Adam blindsided you there, that was awful. No, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about like forgiveness, I suppose. Is like, how do you forgive somebody for hurting you? Like, to the sense where like you can acknowledge that you're not willing to accept that anymore. Because like if you don't forgive, there's still kind of controlling your life in a certain way. Like if you look on their profile on Instagram or whatever, and you still feel a sense of hatred or hurt, you haven't forgiven them, and then they still have a little bit of control over you. How do you kind of bridge that gap to be at a point where it's like, I know this person treated me in a way he never should have, or she never should have, but I forgive them, and because I forgive them, I can move on?
I feel this is definitely something I've worked on a lot in the last 2 years, that I actually went to specific classes just to learn about forgiveness. Because when you're carrying around the energy of hating somebody and not forgiving them, you're actually disrespecting yourself. That's my opinion. I think I'm a really understanding person, sometimes to a point where someone could do something like, I understand why they've done it though. I'm like, oh, they went through this shit with their mom, or they're going through heartbreak. A good way for me to forgive somebody is to understand the type of life that they've lived and understand that I know that some people do go out of their ways to be an asshole, but some people don't. That's all they know. Or I try my best to understand, like, do I know their parents? Do I know what type of life that they have? And to just know that everybody in this world deserves love and kindness. And each week I do a meditation on love and kindness. So you send love to somebody that you love, you send it to yourself, and you send it to somebody that's really difficult in your life. And I just continued to do that over and over again, because I know myself, I've been a shit friend, I've been a shit partner at times, and I know definitely some of my ex-friends or partners hold on to the parts of me that weren't really good in a relationship. And what would I want? I'd want forgiveness, and I'd want them to know that I've taken the time to work on myself to move on. And even though I've been through shit and people have treated me like crap at times, they deserve love, because I don't believe that my partners and my ex-partners and friends are going to stay the same all the time. Some might, but all I can do is pray and hope and send them love and forgiveness, because I don't want to hold on to that. They're out living their life and I'm still reliving the past over and over again in my head. It's like, I truly believe you can get trapped emotions in your body, which can manifest into like physical sickness, all that stuff. So I do think like when it comes to forgiveness, it is deep and you do need to forgive people, but take the time you need to feel all your emotions, but know when to let that shit go, because it is the past. Imagine you're holding on to that and then you're trying to make new connections, like sexually or just with friends, whatever it is. You're holding onto that while trying to make new connections. It's not fair on yourself and the people that you're meeting. So yeah, a lot of understanding, definitely time. And I love to do meditations for forgiveness. Really, really helps.
Following on from Leah's question, that's about forgiveness of people who might have wronged you or whatever else. You speak quite like peacefully about, let's say, old Meg, right? Like who you used to be before you decided to change and shift gears. How did you, I suppose, forgive that version of yourself who acted in different ways, or, you know?
Still a process.
Yeah.
That's so hard. Like something that really triggers that and keeps bringing that to the surface is having really nice people in my life, because they shine a light on parts of myself where it would bring up like, fucking hell, what if they know what I used to be like?
Yeah.
And it's not fair to do that to myself. But yeah, practicing forgiveness, like meditations, going to classes, workshops, hearing from other people how they done it definitely inspires me to do it. But there's a book that my nanny actually gave me. I can't remember what it's called. But there's so many different snippets in it about forgiveness. And I don't even think she's aware of what the book has done to my life.
Yeah.
But there's just this piece that talks about the past. And it basically says like, all of your yesterdays were once a day such as this. So like today is a day I prayed for. And if I keep thinking about all the yesterdays and all the shit that I've done, I'm not letting myself live right now. And I don't have any regrets. Even thinking back to mad shit that has happened, it's all made me who I am.
Yeah.
And without heartbreak or, I don't know, a shitty job or dropping out of college, all them things, I wouldn't know what I don't want and I wouldn't know what I want. So yeah, forgiving myself is definitely a process. We're getting there. But yeah, just living every day helps. I just have to do things that I love.
Yeah. No, and again, whenever I was having this conversation in the barbershop earlier, and we are obviously, it was a man talking to a man, so we were saying like from a man's experience, but I think it's probably true for a woman or any other gender too. It's like you kind of have to fuck it all up a little bit in life. Like you need to hurt people. You need to dig yourself into a hole that you don't see a way out of, because then you get to that place where it's like, I can't go any lower. I have to change. Something has to click.
Yeah.
And then in that moment when you decide, okay, if I keep digging down, I'm just going to go deeper and deeper and deeper and end up nowhere.
Yeah.
Or I can turn around and start moving back towards the light. It's like the fuck up is like the most difficult yet most important part of any journey, because everything after that is a little bit easier than what came before.
Yeah.
And I think when I look at, you're kind of blessed in a way that your fuck up came so early. And I feel like mine did too. Like,
yeah, I do feel like that.
You know, like, okay, you can look back and be like, oh, I wasted like my teenage years in a bad relationship or this early stage in my life going out and doing drugs or whatever. But it's like, you made all these fuck ups then, so the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life, you get to look back and be like, I know what bottom feels like, and I know that I'm strong enough to get out of it. Yeah.
I do agree with that, and I do feel like I was very lucky that I came early, because my sister just laughed and she said, Megan, you've had like 9 lives. I'm 27 now, but I feel like I've been here for time, lads, you know. Sometimes like, just gives a break, will you? Just gives a year where nothing mad happens at all. But I do truly believe certain people are put on this earth to help others, and I definitely know I am one of them, and that's not like an egotistical thing to say. I know from the people I connect with, even here, was chatting on the podcast, which is really nice. But yeah, my fuck ups came early. And come here, don't get me wrong, sometimes something happens. Even like a few weeks ago, I was like, what is this trying to show me now? I've been here before. But when you do have a fuck up that's like similar to your past and it kind of is familiar, you're like, right, I've been here before. I don't have to go to the pits of it. I can just acknowledge it and move on. You don't need to carry all them heavy emotions that you did before. And that's just learning with every experience, I feel.
It's growth, growth. What was it like, mate, growing up, going through school? How were those years?
I loved school.
Did you, yeah?
Loved school.
What was your favourite subject?
PE. Okay. English, art. I loved all the physical stuff. I hated history and geography and all, like when I just had to sit there and listen. But it's funny because I love all that now. I loved school, like absolutely loved it. I wasn't like an A or B student, maybe a B or C, sometimes a D. I got like a silver award from the Board of Education for attendance. I didn't miss a day for 3.5 years. I have to say the half. But now, in fairness, my house is here and my secondary school is there. So I hear the bell and leave for school. But there's people on my road that were always out. So no diss to them. No, I loved school. I just loved people. I loved having the crack. I'd go back to school in a heartbeat. Like,
really, yeah.
But I did put my heart and soul into everything that I done. Like, I loved what was it, woodwork? Yeah, woodwork. We done like CAD on the computers. And then, remember 4th year? Some people are like, what a waste of a year. I'm like, I'd relive that every year.
Oh, we didn't do it.
We skipped it, yeah.
Lads. Now, I think every school was quite different, but in 4th year, we done like a huge production of Les Mis, like a musical. And then I had
you the lead role, were you?
Oh my God, don't even get into
I'm
that,
opening some wounds here.
I wanted the lead role, and I remember my teacher being like, you didn't get it, and like, I can sing, okay, but I don't. Don't start asking me to back out tunes. It's not gonna happen. But in school, I loved
Dave,
singing.
cue the music.
No one listened. But I wanted the lead part, and it just didn't happen because then my teacher came to me. She's like, I need you to play this part. She's really funny, and I was like, makes sense, you know what I mean?
Of course.
But I absolutely loved it, and I think her name was Madame Thenardier. I'm definitely saying that wrong, but she was very funny in it, and I got to curse and everything on the stage in front of all the teachers and adults, so it was brilliant. But yeah, school, loved it.
Sick.
What school did you go to?
Yeah,
Lucan Community College.
LCC.
And it was mixed. So
okay. Sick. And did you know, leaving school, what you wanted to do next?
Yeah.
What was it?
I wanted to be an actor and a singer and a dancer. So I went to college.
All at the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wanted to just do it all in college, so I did. I went to college for performing arts, and then I dropped out. And I went back the next year, and then I dropped out again, and then I started managing restaurants.
So it's a logical transition.
Yeah. I was like, do you know what? No. I really, really had my heart and soul set on doing acting in college, and I did. And then I dropped out, and I said, this just isn't for me. I don't know why I didn't like it.
Okay.
I still can't think of why. There was a lot of immaturity, and I know I was definitely not the most mature as well, but just a lot of conversations that didn't serve me. And I was like, you know what? I just started working at the same time, and I was in with more mature people, and I was acknowledged for my work. I actually worked in Joelle's.
Did you?
Yeah.
Ah, sick.
For like 2.5 years. Shout out to Joelle's. Great pasta. Anyways. Yeah, that was my first like managerial job. So I just started doing that. Maybe I'll go back to the acting one day. You never know.
Joelle's a hiring, I think, as well.
Imagine reliving my youth. That was the best years of my life, working in Joelle's.
Really? Yeah, you enjoyed it, yeah?
Yeah, I loved
it. Sick. How come you went back to acting the second time? Was it the first time it wasn't a line in the sand? It was like, I'll give it one more go, or?
Yeah, I actually don't know why. I think I felt like a failure, and I was like, I need to go back. But I'm really glad I went back, because it just showed me that I did go back to attempt and try it again, but it just still wasn't for me. But something that I am grateful for is my mum, because she never judged me for decisions that I made, things that I chose to do, then actually chose the opposite. She was just encouraging of it all the time. So I had the space to do that. But managing restaurants, don't regret that. That was great.
No. Was there any other restaurants other than Joelle's you were?
Yeah, Nando's in Liffey Valley.
Ah, okay.
And then a restaurant that I don't really like, so we won't name them.
Remain unnamed.
Yeah. But I did like managing it for some time in my life.
Mad. I used to work in Nando's.
Yeah.
Did you?
Not in Liffey Valley.
No, you weren't as manager.
No, you weren't. I
was like, I don't remember
just
you.
off Grafton Street.
I thought it was great crack working there.
Did you?
Yeah.
I kind of got a pain. You get a free lunch though, a free meal on your break, so that was deadly. Aside from that, it was kind of. But I worked in town, and it was always packed, and you'd have mad.
Was it Mary Street?
No, I think it's St Andrew Street, but it's the one just off Grafton Street. So
yeah, very busy now.
Staff on nice though. Still friends with a few of the people that I worked with.
Yeah, same.
Nice.
And is that what you done then? Because I know there was in the episode you done with James, I think it was, you said you'd kind of lived that lifestyle, let's say, decided, I'm sick of waking up every morning doing a job that I hate, or doing stuff that I don't want to do. Is the managing restaurants, is that what you done up until that point? You hit a stage where you're like, right, I'm not doing this shit anymore, I want to go on.
Yeah, I speak about that a lot. So I actually launched my first course at the start of this year, how to gain confidence through speaking your truth. And I definitely believe the whole, like, being a manager in restaurants changed everything because I was younger, I was a woman, and then there was a lot of men that were my managers and older, so they just thought I was like a mouth coming in telling them what I'd like and what I don't like, and when I wanted change they wouldn't implement it because God forbid it came from me, you know.
This young one giving out again,
like, you know what I mean? And I know I'm not very quiet and I always say what's on my mind, so it's probably annoying, but in the last job that I was in that before I moved to Spain. That's why I moved to Spain.
Really? Yeah.
I was working in it during the whole of COVID, and like I didn't not work during COVID
at all.
Oh my God, no! I'd go off the head. I even remember being on the bus and the guy's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Do my job," like fucking sitting in my house. But anyways, doing that was great crack. But I knew what was going to make the company more money, but they wouldn't listen to me, and it was really frustrating. I was like, you know, when something's so obvious, but they were all stuck in their ways. So I said, you know what, fuck this shit, I'm out, excuse my language. I booked a flight to Spain and I moved. And I remember, like, it was at a time where you're not allowed to do anything, you can't even go out your 5k. So I said, I'm just going to be a bit mad and do it.
Go like 500k or whatever that is.
I did.
What part of Spain did you move to?
Malaga.
Ah, very nice.
Oh my God, I love it there. It's really nice because it's such a modern city, I believe. And then there's also the rural part that you can go and visit. But it's just very encouraging for young people to be there. There's so much to do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Was it solo? Did you go by yourself?
No, I went with a friend.
Okay. And had you started, I'm sure you did, like into the world of meditation and everything by this stage, yeah?
Yeah, I had started all that stuff. And that's why I think definitely that was my invitation to go deeper into that, because we're living in Spain, going to beaches every day.
100%.
No, getting on a bus and going into town to manage a restaurant.
It's a hard sell, that one. Isn't
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, just on the basis of what you've said just there and then everything else so far, it's like a common theme that seems to come up a lot, based on whether it's you're ending your relationship, you're moving away. It's like knowing when to walk away. It's like I feel like everyone gets in situations in life where it's like, at what point do I decide, no, this isn't for me anymore? A lot of people stay in relationships and jobs they probably should have moved on from 10, 20, 30 years ago, because like the quote Adam said about this.
Oh, you're looking at me when you say the relationship one there.
8 years.
We're more marketable if we're both single.
Yeah, true, actually.
I see what you're trying to do here, Shauna.
Right, yes, I get along well with Shauna. He does, actually. But just like, for you, what is, like, how do you make that decision, it's time for me to move on here?
I'd like to think that I know how to do many things, but when it comes to walking away from things, my mom's always like, Megan, you've been given 60 signs, like, you know, just go.
You did 61.
I think I squeeze the life out of things to make sure it's not the right thing for me, because I'd hate to walk away and then not know. As I get older, it's definitely something that is easier for me to do. It's like, right, that even an inkling of something pissing me off, I'm like, I'll walk away from it. Yeah. But yeah, over the years, like, it took me ages to walk away from things. It did. Like a job, a relationship, and I'm like that. They could literally cheat on me. I'm like that. But he didn't mean it. Do you know? No, that didn't happen. But
in between or
stuff. I'm like, were you drunk or were you just having a bad day? You know?
Yeah.
I did make excuses for so much shit for so long. Yeah. Because I do have a tendency, I'm very sporadic. I can be spontaneous, and sometimes that can get a bit lost in translation when it comes to making decisions. So I could be like, fuck this, I'm done. When I just needed a deep breath and then maybe to get through the day.
Light
so
a candle
light a candle. Pray to Saint Anthony. Or does he help you find things?
I think it's Anthony help you find stuff. I think so.
Find myself, please. Don't ask me that, because I can't give advice on when to walk away from things.
Yeah.
I think, you can feel it. That's all I'll say. You can feel it when the time is right. And even when I was younger in that relationship, I had this conversation with my mum. And she's like, if there was anything like advice that you wanted, I was like, there's nothing I wanted to happen differently, because I needed to live that the way it was supposed to happen. If someone was to pull me out of it, I'd resent all of them.
Yeah.
Same with a job or anything. So trust in divine time and know and feel it. Your intuition will scream at you when it's time to go from anything.
You made that point a couple of times and stuff I've watched, like, trust that inner voice, trust that feeling you get, don't ignore it.
It's there for all of us. And if you listen, like, literally, you can meditate for 10 minutes. You don't even need to mindfully meditate. Go on a walk in nature and just slow the mind down. You're going to find answers within yourself. And a lot of people will ask, and I definitely found this when I was going into that myself, of trusting my gut, was I'd get confused between an intrusive thought and my intuition.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes somebody walking down the road, like, I'll knock them down. And you're like, I'm not going to knock them
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
is my mind telling me that? You know? Or just mad stuff comes into my head. I don't know about yous. Or like, you know, when you're younger, you walk in the crack, like your ma's going to die in 2 hours.
Yes, yeah.
But my mind used to do that. And then I know when it's an intuition because it's a gentle feeling, like a gentle nudge. Whereas an intrusive thought, you're like, oh, I don't like that. And you just shut down. So...
Have you ever read the book The Surrender Experiments? Have you heard of that now?
I have a copy at home, don't I?
Yeah, you do actually. Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
It's good, but it speaks a lot about
Loads of
that.
stuff going
yeah,
on
we're gonna.
now. Loads of books to read.
Because I read it when we went away.
You did, yeah. That's the same sort of principles. Like the surrender experiment is basically he speaks about this period in time where he would just surrender to that. I think he called it like the gentle whisper. It was like the language he put on it. It was like surrender to that, and whatever
That makes
direction
sense.
it sends me in, I'm just gonna go. And it's mad because you get that little feeling inside and you're like, right, I'll do it. And you can't logically work out how it's all going to come together. But it's like the more you just trust that and follow it down the path, like shit just starts happening. And it's like the world's conspiring to kind of make things work in your way.
Did you have any standout moment of that? Where like an intuitive thought or a gentle whisper came to you and you were like, okay, I'll just go for it.
Yeah, like I actually get it a lot. But sometimes I'll see stuff before they happen. Like I wouldn't say that I'm fully psychic, but sometimes especially in my dreams, some things will happen and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, no. Because some things will happen and sometimes it's just a dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, with intuition, definitely moving to Spain was one of them. This is something I always say. When something happens very naturally and you feel like it's flowing, it's meant for you. If there's stagnancy and it feels a bit forced, let me just go back to booking Spain, the flights. The flights were cheap. I booked it. There was no problem. Booked an Airbnb. Everything flowed naturally.
No friction. Yeah.
Flights got cancelled. Wrong name. On the
Yes. But you know when all them things happen or like a website crashes, all of that, I stop and I start listening and I'm like, what is it telling me? But when you ignore that and you just push through, if you go on that flight, I'm not even just saying on the flight or on a trip somewhere and you've ignored all the signs at the start, something might go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
While you're there. But yeah, my intuition told me to move to Spain and I definitely did. Best time ever. It was so fun.
Nice.
So I'm glad I listened to myself with that.
Love it. And what were you doing over in Spain? You mentioned there was a bit of a mixed bag of like meditation and all that stuff, but also partying. And
oh my God, it was so funny. Like it was my best friend's birthday yesterday and I was putting up stories and I was just like, oh, I can't put that up because there was a video. Sorry, let me just think what's actually I can say out loud here. No, we used to just do mad stuff when we were over there. Like we used to just always go partying, but we'd never say no to meeting people. And I remember we ended up in like a castle one night, but partying till all hours, like at a pool and stuff. And then we just woke up at 3:00 the next day and I was like, right, I can't keep doing this if I wanted to live here.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we went over there, we met people we were definitely meant to meet. And there was a guy that had like a marketing company. So I done a little bit for him, which was really nice. I was only there for 7 months, so it wasn't something that I set out to stay.
You were planning, you just planned for them.
So there was stuff that definitely fed me for the time that I was there, but we'd get up, I would get up and run. Then I'd jump in the sea religiously most mornings. We'd meet with friends. I loved hiking. I definitely go up the mountains all the time. And then we'd just party in the evenings or have a movie night or something like that. So, but I went to different cities. Like I remember I met people that I didn't even know and I just get in a car with them and go. Because like, it was just what was meant to happen. We went like paddleboarding in Nerja. I went to Granada with a girl that I'd never met and stayed in a hostel. Wait and you hear this, right?
Go on.
This is like Granada in Spain is up the mountains, up hills and hills. Went into this little hostel, right? No bigger than this, I'd say. And your man goes, how are you? And I says, how are you? He says, are you Irish? I says, yeah, I am. He says, I lived in Ballyfermot for years. Right? And his dog, I says, what's the dog's name? He says, Spike. And I says, why are you saying like this? Because people in Ballyfermot call him Spike instead of Spike. Ballyfermot. I felt like I was at home. It was lovely. But it was definitely opened my eyes to how much we connect with each other and we learn so much from one another. But the distance from home made me love Irish soil even more.
Really, yeah.
I found that as well. When I moved to France, like moving back, it just gave you like a new appreciation for like, Irishness, whatever was Irish.
Yeah. And I think obviously there's loads of like housing crisis.
Yes,
Look,
yeah.
there's shit going on in the world anyways, you know. But I think if you want to be here and you see the beautiful sides of living in this country, like Ireland is beautiful. And a lot of people say they've travelled the world and come home and this is the most beautiful place that they've seen. Like travelling all the counties and stuff like that. So yeah.
I think not to get too philosophical, but you'll find beauty wherever you look for it.
Yes, that's true.
As within, so without. Isn't that what they say?
Oh my God, we're like gurus here.
Yeah. We are, yeah.
I was going to say you should have a podcast, but anyways, here we are now.
She catches on fast.
Yeah.
I do, yeah. It's only taking me an hour and a half or something now.
So once you got back to Ireland, then is that when you started really launching into running your own sort of circles and stuff? Or?
Yeah. So the month before I came home, I just put out my first workshop.
Okay.
And it filled in 24 hours because people were like, oh, I want to come. And then that was definitely something that came to my head that, people believe in me. And then, I done my first workshop. So basically we came together, done a bit of movement, meditation. I just chatted about why I wanted to do it. I called it a sharing soul circle. There's a lot of spirituality within, and then sometimes just having the crack. But then since then, I've just fired away with doing workshops and classes. And obviously you have to believe to achieve. And I truly believe in myself. I don't think there's any limits. Someone could tell me they're doing the maddest thing ever. I'm like, go for it. You know? So came home and just went ahead with everything. So
nice. What was that like, the launching your first one? Was there feelings of like imposter syndrome? I can't do this, I shouldn't do this? Yeah,
definitely imposter syndrome, but a lot of limiting beliefs because it was my first time bringing people together to meditate. And as I said at the start, like people that used to party were probably like, what is she doing? You know, that's mad. I used to be out with her. So a lot of that came into my head. So I had to just remind myself that I was exactly where I was meant to be and let go of external opinions. So that took time. Like each time I do one of them, it comes into my head. So
yeah, of course.
That first one you done, how long ago would that have been?
2000 and when did I come home? 2021. I'm asking you as if you have me talking about it.
Just said 5th of March.
Check the calendar there.
It was 2021 was my first one.
2021, okay, so 2 years ago. Nice.
Oh my God, it was 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know why that feels like a year ago when you say 21.
I know, COVID messed everything up.
But it was 2 years ago. It's bad. That's after flying in.
There's only 2 time frames nowadays.
Pre-COVID or post-COVID.
It's not during COVID.
Stop, I know. Cool, so 2 years doing that. And how would you say you've evolved or grown from, you say, like your first one up until now?
I think when I was doing my first workshops and classes, I had to spend so much time grounding my energy after. I'd feel a bit all over the place because, of course, as you know, when you come together with people, there's a lot of energy exchange and limiting beliefs. But now when I'm doing my class, I can show up 30 minutes before because I actually know what I offer. I do the work. I read books. I go to workshops, classes, all the thing. I'm constantly growing my knowledge because I want to be able to give to other people. So, I think I've just knowing my worth and seeing what I have built over the last 2 years has been beautiful within community, but also receiving such lovely messages and words from other people to remind me how much I've helped them is really, really nice. And I don't do anything for that. I don't do it for
I need
what's the word? Validation. But now I just know my worth. I know what I have to offer. I know the beauty of my classes and workshops. So it just comes with ease, which is really beautiful. But time done that the last 2 years.
Can I ask, within the circles that you host and stuff, what would be the kind of split of male to female? Would it be like overwhelmingly more women than men, or is there it's always women. Now I'll never say it's only for women unless I'm doing only a women event, but you'll never see any of my descriptions saying just women only.
But some of them are like, feminine energy. We work through sensual yoga, so if a man wants to come, you're more than welcome. I'll never say no. But I just think people find their own people, there's sometimes I've done like a sharing souls and people come along, or sometimes lads have come to the meditations, which is really nice. It depends on the evening, but it's open to everybody, but mostly like 99% women.
Okay. You may not have the answers, I'm just asking it in general, but why do you think there is such a draw? Women maybe feel more comfortable or open to going to those things, and men don't seem to be as much.
Yeah, I think it's a normal thing for me in my life, especially growing up with my mum and my sister, to talk about feelings. And from any women's circles that I've gone to, hence women's circle, it's just been women. But I do know men that do men's circles, so they probably just like being in there. It's very different energies. Like within any human, we hold masculine and feminine energy. Like if I was to work on my masculine, it's like managing a restaurant, doing like constantly wanting to do, whereas if I'm in my feminine, it's a bit softer. And I think men have different conversations to women. So like they're always welcome here. I don't know why. They probably just feel a bit intimidated, but we've been in a room with women. Some people don't know how to show emotion or haven't opened themselves up to that. Whereas sometimes in my classes, people just openly cry or have the chats about life and there's no limits. Whereas men are probably like, Jesus Christ. Or women are talking about how they're so upset because a man done something and they might take that emotion on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, there could be guilt or blame there for themselves. I don't really know. I'd never like for someone to feel like that, but
no, that makes sense.
people will be gravitated towards who they're meant to be with.
I like it. It's a good answer. Like exactly what you said, people will gravitate towards different people. It's not to say like, and I'm not saying anything in this, Meg, but like they might go to Meg's meditations and be like, oh, I didn't really get much out of that.
Of course.
But then go somewhere else and be like, oh, that was deadly. It's like not necessarily the act. It's like the vibe in the room. And there's so much more than just closing your eyes and breathing in for a few minutes. It's like there's a lot more that goes into it. Something you mentioned there actually was on masculine energy. And if you were in your masculine, example you gave was managing the restaurants, for example. And it's interesting. I'm not sure. I don't have statistics around, but it feels like nowadays...
Just make them up. No one will know.
Yeah.
No, this study that I read actually... but it feels like women nowadays are having to be in their masculine energy a lot more in today's world, let's say, than they would have been in previous generations or whatever else. What impact did it have on you when you were, say, in that 9 to 5 environment, managing restaurants all day, like just high masculine energy day in, day out? Like, did that have a tangible or intangible impact on just how you felt overall?
100%. The first thing that comes to my mind is like, when I was living in that mode and then I was coming home after doing, I'd end up giving out to my mom or shouting or like reacting in a way that isn't truly who I am. And then when I started to slow down, I was like, oh my God, I hate the way I react in that way. But I'm not saying just because people are in the masculine energy, they scream and shout. But when you are just doing all day and you're not being soft with yourself and you're constantly demanding stuff, what's going to happen? You're going to demand from other people. And when that doesn't happen, you're going to react. But it is a beautiful thing understanding the difference between the masculine and the energy, the masculine and the feminine, because to have them balanced is really important. But like, when is everything balanced? It takes work for all of it, you know?
Yeah, big time. And the idea of like masculine and feminine, and like everyone has elements of both. It's not like men are only masculine or women are only feminine. It's like understanding that it's not gender specific. We all have different combinations nearly of each of those energies, and getting that right could be different for me to leave, like how much masculine or feminine we feel comfortable with to anyone else.
And it depends what you do as well. Like I feel in my masculine when I'm in the gym and I'm lifting weights and stuff, whereas I could be a bit more feminine when I'm doing sensual yoga or meditation and being calm. But it depends on the practice, and there's no right or wrong. I like being in both of them because I love a high intensity environment of the gym because that really motivates me. And then whereas also meditation can motivate me in different ways in a softer approach.
Interesting. Nice dynamic.
Definitely.
Nice balance to it. Within what you're doing at the moment, Megan, I know you've got an event coming up. Isn't this... By the time this goes out, I think will be the following weekend on the 12th of November, isn't it? What is it you're doing then?
So it's my next workshop called The Art of Authentic Connection. So as you all know, I love human connection. I love bringing people together. And I do a workshop a month. Basically to come together, we just have an open sharing circle, chat about life, whatever's been going on. And it's funny because a lot of people will say strangers will support them faster than people that they know. I don't understand why, but it is a thing, and I do know that. So coming together to just talk about life is really nice. We do meditation. And especially now, I feel like when I'm learning something, I want to share my new learnings with other people. So right now is a lot about like visual meditation, visualizing where you want to be. Because I truly believe like what you speak into existence is what manifests into reality. So being able to bring people into a practice where you can do that is really nice. Then we do some yoga, we eat some food together, and then we just head off. Sick. So it's nice.
Mind if we pop along for the food part?
You're more than welcome. I hope it's like some like ham and cheese and crackers and stuff.
That'll do.
We're not pussy.
That'll do. Where's it on and how can people get tickets?
So the tickets you can get in the link in my bio. I have everything, any events that I'm doing, you'll find on my page. You can always message me.
Very organised, very masculine.
Yes, very masculine of me. Women are organised too, right? Yous wouldn't be that without us, so.
True.
You can find it on my page, but like I always just say, message me if someone ever wanted us to find it. So, the studio that I do it out of is in Clondalkin, so it's all very local to me.
Happy days.
Nice.
Happy days.
If you don't mind, I wanted to.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just because you were talking about the masculine, feminine sort of thing, and I was listening more than talking because I don't know a whole lot about that space, but I find it very interesting. But just when you were talking about like being in your masculine too much or being in one or the other too much, something that came to mind, which may have absolutely no relevance, but it's a quote, I think it's by Jim Carrey. And he's like saying like depression is your body's way of telling you that it's like tired of playing this character that you're trying to play. And when I look back at like previous jobs I've had or relationships, and it's been like when I've been burnt out or pissed off or just not feeling good, it's always been because I've been trying to be the person I felt like that person wanted me to be, or that the world wanted me to be this strong man or this whatever it was. How much of that do you think ties into the whole masculine feminine energies? And through your own work, have you like helped people with their kind of mental health struggles too? Or
yeah, like even you saying that there, I actually only spoke about this with my partner a while ago. I feel so bad on men sometimes because there's so much pressure on you to provide. That's a society thing, especially from years ago, whereas men have to go to work, they have to provide, the women stay at home. Like I'd never be a stay-at-home wife. Like you couldn't keep me in the door. That's just not my buzz. And I think like we need to uplift all that shit and say we can rewrite all that, because it's not fair that men feel like they have to go out and provide or be this certain person for their partner. It's okay to feel a bit like, as you said, burnt out or deflated, but knowing when you need the time to yourself and not having to over explain yourself to people, to just express in your own way. So personally, I've had very few men come to me, and I do have men that come to my classes every now and then. And I've created such a beautiful relationship with them because they feel that they can share. But some people are gravitated towards women and some can go to men. You know, like I hung around with lads growing up, you know, and I think that's why I take the piss out of people all the time, because I can take a slag and I can give one. So I don't really take things personal like that. But when it comes to being burnt out and deflated, take the time that you need. Like try your best to communicate with someone, say it's nothing got to do with you, and also taking a softer approach to life. Like asking yourself, am I passionate about what I'm doing? Is it what I like? Do I want to teach yoga? You know, you can go from, I don't know, being on a construction site to teaching yoga. People might think you're a bit mad, but that's because they don't see why you want to do it. I hope that answered that. Sorry, that was just...
No, it does. Don't worry.
And what about, because obviously you mentioned your partner had a big transition going from construction into PT. Did you help him, let's say, with that at all, or was it open communication around it from that end?
He, as you had said, we do have a very independent relationship. Yeah. We do communicate a lot. Like, I wouldn't make a decision without confiding in him, you know, that's just how it goes. But yeah, he was in carpentry. He's amazing at carpentry. Like, he built this whole gym out his back and stuff, and he loves it. But I do think because he was doing it for a daily job and getting paid for it, and there was a lot of demand, that it took away from his passion from it, which wasn't really nice. Yeah. But he does say, and like, I hate to put myself in someone else's story, but he has said to me, definitely I've helped him on his journey in becoming softer, and knowing that he doesn't need to put so much pressure on himself to perform, because he is a qualified personal trainer and that's what he always wanted to do. But there's not enough, I don't think, education out there to encourage people to become independent in training people. And where it's easier to just throw on a high vis and go and work in the site. You know, so moving away from that was definitely a big transition for him. There was a lot of space needed from me and him to be able to explore that himself, because I could give him all the advice, but he wasn't ready to receive it because he had to flow through his own stages. So yeah, he's definitely become more settled, and I'm absolutely so proud of him because he's great. He was my trainer for a while, but I had to start the gym because we just take the piss and have a laugh all the time.
Really?
So, he was like, do that. I was like, no. So I just went back to the gym by myself, but we train together sometimes, you know? Yeah.
Quality. It's cool, especially like the amount of examples you've given of maybe not consciously knowing when it was time to say, let's stop this and do something else, but where that's led you up until now, I suppose, and being at least brave enough or having the courage to make decisions when it felt like, right, I need to do this, I need to do that. And similarly with your partner making the decision, like I'm sure, especially in that sort of industry, like it's a very macho masculine kind of world, isn't it? Like construction and carpentry stuff, like, oh, you're just gonna go and fucking train people all day, is that it? Like, you know, it's almost like a, not everyone of course, but there's almost like a stigma of like looking down on other forms of work, or it's like what a real man's day's graft is, you know, that sort of stuff. And having the courage to go after stuff you actually want in life, that's the greatest form of strength of all, really, isn't it? Is having a life, or at least chasing a life that you actually give a shit about and you think's worthwhile living, as opposed to just choosing the path of least resistance and doing what everyone else is doing and then hoping you'll magically land on happiness or fulfillment at the end of it all.
And I think a lot of people, like not even just men, whether it's a 9-to-5 job, right, or being on the site, you're guaranteed a wage on a Friday. So that's why people stay. But if you, and if you actually think like, I'm not even happy doing that. And then I'm saying, are you more scared of trying something that might fail? Like saying just going off on your own, you're actually going to be more happy spending the time exploring the unknown. I don't know about everybody else, but I would.
Yes.
Instead of fighting for a fucking wage on a Friday and then it's gone because you're buying chicken fillet rolls in Central.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time, yeah.
Simple pleasures to make it boil. Yeah.
You quoted Jim Carrey earlier, but I'll quote him again because he tells a story of his
He's
dad.
dead.
Start charging him commission.
Yeah.
Fucking Jim.
Shout out to Jim.
Yeah. He was telling a story about, I think he was doing like a commencement speech for some college that he was giving a talk to the graduates from, but he was telling the story of his dad, and his dad was an accountant. He could have been a comedian. He said his dad was like really funny and all this, but he chose to be an accountant because he had a family, he had a mortgage to pay, he had young kids or whatever else. So he chose the safe option. And then a couple of years later, the accountancy firm shut down. He was unemployed. His dad was like scrambling, trying to figure out how am I going to pay the bills. And he was basically saying like, you can fail in life at the shit you don't want to do. So you may as well go after what you do want and have the chance of succeeding at it.
That's actually very true. That's a really nice way of putting it.
You're welcome, Jim.
Yeah. He's deadly, isn't he?
I
feel like only the last
yeah, he seems to have like almost turned the corner. He used to be
Yeah.
like, maybe it was always like that, but he's at least sharing that philosophical sort of part of himself.
Went up to the mountains for a while.
Yes,
Found
he
himself.
did. I was with him. Came off
Done a
knowledge,
shift
he
as a
knows.
duty manager in Nando's. Down the bottom. Yeah.
He didn't work in Nando's. That's why he's happy.
But, so, Meg, I wanted to ask you a little bit about family because it's something that we speak about quite a bit on all the podcasts that we've done, to be honest, and the impact of having a good family environment. What was your family environment like growing up? It sounded like it was really supportive, especially your ma giving you freedom to be Meg.
Yes.
Along the way.
But she always had cameras set up in the house. Like people are like, what?
CCTV,
yeah, what are you doing? I've seen this. But she always had a video camera like set up in the kitchen. You know when kids are so weird, like just making up random stuff. But we're always dancing and singing and like acting and stuff. So she just has literally so many videos of us from when we were younger. And like we had our friends over and like there was always birthday parties and stuff. So yeah, my mom was always allowed us the room to be kids. And I remember like one of the years she got me, you know, like an indoor kitchen set. What did I do? Dragged it out the back, started making mud pies, digging up the back garden and stuff. So yeah, I actually had a great upbringing, to be honest. On our road, my brother always had someone his age. I had someone my age. Abby had someone her age. So there were so many families.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a good childhood and we didn't have phones. We didn't have all the things the kids have now. So we were allowed to be weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Without any evidence, apart from your ma's cameras. But
Yeah, very strange now.
Questionable stuff.
I'll talk to her about that.
And what was your relationship like with your brother and sister growing up?
Great. We used to bait each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to kill each other, but it was really fun. So my brother is 2 years, 2 days older than me. He lives in Canada now. Okay. But we all just got on so well. Like if we weren't in our house together, we were up in my best friend's house together, you know? We were all just hanging out. Do you remember the iToy and PlayStation? The camera?
No.
Do you not?
no.
Oh my God. So it
We're
was...
from Bonnog. We didn't have
What's a PlayStation?
Sorry about that, guys. You used to have tellies. But we used to play that all the time, or play Buzz. You have to know Buzz on PlayStation.
Buzz. Yeah.
But yeah, I just had a great childhood, to be honest. We were always out playing and building dens and stuff. So
The good stuff. And what about during that? Because there'll be people watching this who have kids who are teenagers going through the Meg phase. Let's call it the old Meg phase of like going out.
best of luck. That's all I'll say.
Do you think when you were going through that, like, was there anything a parent or an adult could have done or said? Do you think that could have helped? Or do you think it was something that you just had to go through and kind of see it through and come to your own conclusion and decision with it to move on?
Yeah, I had to. My mom grounded me. She tried to keep me in. She told me not to be with this person and that person. And what happens? I just continued to do it. I wanted to do it more because I wasn't allowed. Like I started drinking when I was 15. You know, we just go down to the fields and have a few cans that you do when you're 15. But I used to come in swinging out the door sometimes. You know, I was like, "Are you drinking?" I was like, "No."
Oh yeah.
What are you talking about? But I had so much fun doing that when I was a teenager. And like, I'm not going to say to people like, just let your kids do that. Obviously, keep telling them not to because they shouldn't be. But yeah, growing up in a mixed school and like everyone just exploring life and navigating life their own ways. There was just so many of us hanging around. Did you do that when you were teenagers?
For a while, yeah, not to the same extent, I don't think.
No, but I did. Like, and no, there was nothing my mom could have done to stop it, to be honest. She tried, like, to keep me in, have conversations, but I just didn't listen.
Yeah.
Because when I wasn't with my mom, all my mates were doing other stuff. I'm not going to go out to my friends and say, Tammy told you to not be drinking. Like, shut up, you. Like, you know.
Doesn't go too far.
There's nothing she could have done to change that. And to be honest, I wouldn't change it for the world as well.
That's it's the sort of like the art of parenting, isn't it? Like trying to figure out boundaries and discipline that are like strong enough to keep them safe, but also flexible enough to allow them to come into their own as an individual and figure stuff out.
But my mum was very like that, which was really nice. But my mum had us very young. She had my brother when she just gone 18. She had me just before she went 20. And then she had my sister then 3 years later. So my mum's very young, you know. So she was trying to understand life while we were trying to understand life.
Yeah, so like she was younger than you are now with 3 kids.
Yeah.
It's mad.
You only said that to today. It's mad.
Yeah.
What age was your mum having you?
18. And so 18 having us 2
twins.
And then we have another brother who's 3 years younger.
Yeah.
21. And then Jaden is 10 years younger. So she had a bit of a gap.
But isn't it so nice because you're actually trying to navigate life together at some stage?
Oh, there's definitely pros to it,
yeah.
You just teach each other a lot. But even sometimes my mum's like, do roles are switching sometimes? I'm like, yes. I have something to tell you, you know?
Come here, you.
But it is really nice.
I was like, my dad sometimes, like, see the way you came home from that pub last night?
Yeah. Falling up the stairs.
But you resonate with them so much more, don't you, when you're getting older?
Yeah.
Start telling you what to do. I'm like, shut up, you're only 10 years old.
Yeah. Who do you think you are? No, I like it. And it comes back to the definition of love. You gave earlier, Lee, love is facilitating another person's growth. Same with a parent and a child. It's like, how do you facilitate their growth? Is it by just locking the door and keeping them chained, or is it by giving them boundaries and education, but also kind of letting them bump their own way around the world a little bit and figure shit out for their own so they can stand on their own 2 feet and aren't just depending on you to save them every time something happens? It's an interesting game.
Didn't want saving at all.
No, that's it. Sometimes you have to let them put their hand on the fire. You can't just tell them it's hot all the time.
Yeah. That's what my nanny always says. You can walk a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Yeah.
I actually said to her the other day, I was like, I've never seen a horse walk to water to drink it. And anyways, I know it's a saying, but
come back to canals up on
They wash the horses and all down there. God bless everyone there from Bon Oak. I love yous all really, like, you know.
It's all good. We have a closing tradition on the podcast, which obviously you got access to earlier on. So you answered the question that Jay left for yourself. Our next guest is going to have to answer the question that you leave for her. So what question do you want to leave for who's next?
What is one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger teenage self?
Oh, that's going to be... No one knows who the next guest is.
We know, but
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, especially, I'm interested to hear what the answer to that question. Even for me, trying to think what's one piece of advice is tough. It's tough to put it down, like, because
just keep copying Lee.
Just do what Lee does,
Because there's so much, but your young teenage self is a good thing to ask.
Can I ask you? I know we say closing tradition, but it's
all good.
It's like that thing when you tell someone not to do something, they want to do it more. When it's like it's the end of the podcast, then I get like 10 different questions that come into my mind. But I want to ask, and it won't be an easy one, but it'll be an interesting one. If you had to use 3 adjectives to describe old Abby, and then 3 adjectives. Old Abby, my bad. I think confusing with your sister. Old Meg, and then 3 adjectives for new Meg. What would those words be?
For old Meg? Wild.
Okay.
Lost. But herself.
Okay.
I'll just say herself. For me now, wild, calm, and true.
Nice. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
And compassion as well. What I was really looking out for is what kind of judgments were being made. You know, like you're not saying old Meg was, she was an arsehole, she was this. It's not about being a good person or a bad person. It's just recognizing this was an individual trying to find something in life. And it's nice to see how you're able to look back with compassion and empathy of who that person was, and then also recognize that who you are now is just a more evolved version of that. It's not like you used to be bad, now you're good. It's just you're at a different stage of life.
But I use wild for both because I'm always going to be wild.
Yeah.
There's parts of me I never want to lose.
Yeah.
You know, and like I think your personality will always stay there, but there's certain aspects of your life that need to change in order to become a better person. So
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely wild.
Definitely. In different ways now.
Yes. No drinking cans in the fields anymore, right? If you see that, just know I need some help, right?
Bring back old Meg.
Yeah. That's the trigger, You start a movement.
We'll be doing circles in the fields now with a few cans. Tell us your feelings there, will you?
You'll be locked in the middle of it. See you. Don't touch that candle.
Oh, God.
But I have no more questions.
No, I think it's all good, Meg. Thank you very much for sharing your story, for sharing your message more importantly, because it's one that relates so much to when you get a chance to read the book, that we tried to share in the book, is like, take ownership, take responsibility for your life, have an idea of what you could achieve, you know, if you took limits off yourself, and go after that, because as you said, you can fail at all the shit you don't want to do in life, so you might as well go after the things you do want to do. And I think hearing your story and your evolution and transition from like where you were, say 10 years ago up until now, is like, even that in itself is almost like two different people, but it's because you were that person and stayed with that and didn't like shun yourself or shame yourself for it. It's like to allow yourself to be that, the evolution that grows into who you are now, and who knows where Meg will be 10 years from now, you know, the next version of Meg that comes along. But thanks for sharing everything. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, lads. It was deadly.
Our pleasure. I'm wishing you all the best. And anyone who hasn't gone to her Instagram, grab your tickets for her event coming up on the 12th of November. Just there. You'll gain so much from it. Follow her on Instagram as well. She shares lots of really good stuff around yoga, meditation, all the stuff that she shared here today. So keep an eye on her.
Thank you so much.
All good, Dave.